Hello.
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 Alamoto.
It works, he says. You're ironing your paper. You know what? I always wondered about like papers that you're writing, like if you iron them, maybe you get a better grade because it's like nice and neat, and it's all flat and just pristine.
I thought maybe the intention was to kind of make it look older by like putting some burn marks on it or whatever.
Oh,
A little
maybe
bit of
that
flair. Make it look
maybe
cool.
that's it. Maybe
Like, because if you like take a fire to the paper and then blow it out real quick, it looks kind of cool. You know?
it's like
I think
tea
that's what it's
on
about.
white paper. What coffee
Yeah,
did I
yeah.
have? Hey Savage. What coffee did I have? I had a couple different kinds. It depends on when you're talking about. I had Black Rifle Tech to Squatch as bulletproof coffee
A
this morning.
Squatch.
Yes.
Black Rifle Tact Squatch.
Yes. And then the other
Nice.
one
Wait,
was the
hold on. So the coffee name has a rifle in it, and you made bulletproof
yeah,
coffee out of it?
yeah.
Uh, that's kind of defeating the purpose of the rifle, but
I
okay.
know, isn't it cool? Yeah, when we were talking last, yeah, it was the Tacta Squatch. That's what I had.
That's great.
And I
That's
made it
wow, what a name.
bulletproof. Bulletproof coffee is just coffee with butter and coconut oil, and yeah,
Hmm.
it's good.
That's great.
It eats like a meal, because it's got like
Mm.
400
Oh yeah.
calories worth of fat in it. It's great.
My goodness.
You can get your head on straight with that, like
Yeah. I mean, I tried it, but then it wasn't good for me because I'm allergic to coconut. So
oh yeah,
I didn't know that at the time, but
yeah,
I
that
figured
would
that out.
that would do it. That
Yeah.
would that would make a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can last almost the whole day. Like it's crazy. Like so
Hmm.
a lot of times, there are days when I'll do like a fat fast, which is, you just consume fat because fat is the most calorically dense food you can get. Everybody's like, "Oh, don't eat fat. It's bad for you. It makes you fat." Actually, it doesn't. Sugar is the culprit. That's the one that's the problem. But yeah, fats are actually really good for you, and so like I will eat. Yes, eat it. It's good
Eat
for
it. It's
you.
good for you. That's about right. I agree with the sugar thing. Obviously, sugar is not great for you if you have way too much of it.
Mhm.
But there's something that's been baffling me for a long time, and no one has a good answer for.
What's that?
Okay, and if you look at the Chinese and do you think they're fat?
No,
No, no one
most of the
looks at
time.
it, thinks, oh, China, fat. Yeah, no, they're not. Okay, so if you go to China, they have so much sugar in their food, and I know everyone says, oh no, that's just American Chinese. No, actual Chinese food. See, China didn't have that much salt to begin with,
Hmm.
so they used a lot of sugar to preserve their foods. Sugar was their food preservative for everything for like several thousand years.
Really,
They had sugar in all of their food and they didn't get fat.
I'd have to look
So
that up.
that's interesting, right? And I don't know why. And no one can tell me why, but the history agrees that China has historically used sugar as a preservative and continues to eat it in all of their sauces and everything that they cook
Hmm.
because that's the flavor they grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really interesting that, and then when the Chinese go over to America and they eat our food, they get fat. So there's something
Something about our sugars.
different.
Well, and there could
Yeah.
be there could
Like,
be hormonal stuff going on too, like
yeah, it could be.
because one of the
Oh yeah,
one of the
hormonal stuff.
main
Yeah, yeah.
hormones for that type of thing is insulin. Insulin's a hormone that regulates your blood
Hmm.
sugar and what you're storing, what you're converting into fat and all that kind of stuff. So, like, depending on your hormone levels and, like, so there's all kinds of there's all kinds of aspects to that. Yeah, it could be different
Yeah.
types of sugars.
Yeah,
Um,
very well could be. Yeah.
Random question. Do y'all make money from YouTube music listens on your music? That's a really good question. I think that's a question for Kyle.
Yeah. I don't know that answer. Um, from YouTube music listens on, I think so, just probably
I
not very
mean,
much.
yeah, they're
Most of our
Sure.
I mean, we make money, but it's most of the money comes from Spotify.
It does.
A large percent.
The same with how you normally make YouTube money. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's I don't know though, with music it's a little bit different because, stuff gets collected by your distributor. There's all kinds of confusing. There's a whole confusing machine with the different 8 different types
Yeah.
of royalties that come in. Some of them get paid directly to the artist, some of them get paid to the publisher, some of and then there's all kinds of divisions and weirdness and stuff like that. So and then so you almost need like a team of lawyers looking into that, and most of them would be like,
Yeah.
I don't know, they'd throw their hands up in the air and be like, well, hey, your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
So
Like that law changed 15 times in the last year. How am I going to remember?
right, I know. But the short answer is yes. Savage Doorman is right. That yes, there is income that comes from YouTube music. I'm just not sure how much. And like Ryan said, based on what we've seen over the years, Spotify is the biggest payer. Yeah,
Which was really weird to me when everyone got on Spotify for like, oh, you're like, I don't know, what's the word? Everyone, like, it was a couple of years ago now, but everyone was getting really upset with Spotify and going on strikes and so on because Spotify wasn't paying their artists enough. And I was like, Spotify pays more than everybody else. Like, they pay more than Apple. Why don't we rage about them? They pay more than YouTube. Why don't we rage about that? It was weird. It was super weird to me.
It is weird. But a lot of that is, I think, that comes from major label type stuff. There's a lot of people that work at major labels. They raise this big old stink because the way the music industry changed drastically with the advent of streaming and all that. And so like as that industry changed, all these big dogs that were like the big dogs, like they all of a sudden started to see a big difference in how their money got made, and people weren't buying CDs anymore. People weren't buying. They certainly weren't buying cassettes.
For some reason, they were buying vinyl.
People buy vinyl, though. They do. Yeah, it's true. They almost buy more vinyl. It's almost like I almost feel like doing an experiment and seeing like, okay, if we had a product offering of a Static P vinyl, and we put it in the store, like how would that do compared to the CD? Because a lot of times people just want that for the, it's like a collectible.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty great.
Yeah. It's interesting. But anyway, so welcome guys. Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. This is a show we do on Wednesdays that is about you guys, your topics. If you have a topic that you'd like us to cover, you can go to don'tworrywednesday.com. Static P put the topic. He put the link in the chat up there somewhere. You scroll up in the chat. I don't know. Maybe you want to put it over again.
I'll just yep. There you guys go. Just copy paste. There you are.
Copy paste. There's thank you very much. Uya cannot.
That's right. Don't forget to bring your mirrors today to today's lesson. They will aid you in understanding the words that we say because sometimes they're super backwards.
That's right. Sometimes we think backwards, and that's crazy. And that's
that's
part of the reason we do this show is because sometimes you go through something in your life and you get all flipped around backwards. And you're just like, what is going on? I don't even know which way is up. I've been through that so many times with so many different experiences where it's just like you just get bewildered by all the stuff going on in whatever area of your life, and then you survive somehow through it, and and you learn something, hopefully, and you learn something about yourself, you learn something about the world around you, and but we're not professional psychologists or psychiatrists. We're not a substitute for any of that therapy at all. But what we want to do is we want to love you. We want to help you understand that you're not alone, that it's okay, that yes, you're going through something. We all go through stuff, and sometimes things are hard, and we need, as much as we need therapy sometimes, we also need friends. And if we can be a friend to you, that would be wonderful. If we can help in any way possible, just by listening, just by going through, talking about what it is that you're going through, maybe we can have a different perspective on things, which can really be helpful. But yeah, we're not therapists, clearly. So anyway, all right. Hey, Savage, thanks for stopping in. Thanks. Yeah, we'll see you. We'll see you later.
Yeah, have a good one.
Zay says based. Based Zay. Zay is based.
Zay is based.
Yeah. Yeah. So
he
how you guys
recently
doing?
added me as a friend on Discord.
Oh,
so
really?
He recently added me as a friend on Discord. Yeah, and I was like, wait, we're not friends already? All right, cool. Well, now we are. We didn't say anything. He just pressed the button, and I was like, all right,
yeah,
cool.
now we're friends. Good.
There we go.
Good. Be Discord friends. Now it's official. See you later,
Now
Savage.
it's official. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah. How are you guys doing?
Yeah. How's it going in the chat? You guys look good.
Did you guys do anything interesting this last week that you haven't done before, or at least in a long time?
That's a good question.
Did you,
Joe? I worked and I got sick, and
you've been doing that a lot lately.
I know.
The sick part. Don't do that.
Yeah, I know. Myang Leos, you helped your girlfriend build a PC. That's a fun adventure.
Wow. Nice.
August bought 25 pounds of oranges.
That have been delicious, so you ate 25 pounds of oranges?
Or maybe in the process of eating 25 pounds of oranges. That's, man.
Wait, how do you, do you freeze those? Because I don't know how you possibly get through 25 pounds of oranges before they're bad. I can't even get through 2 oranges before I can't even get through 1 orange before it goes bad. Let's be honest. The only thing I'm really good at eating is bananas when it comes to fruit.
Well, hey.
Sometimes I'm okay with like grapes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like peaches and pears and all of these kinds of different fruits? I just don't ever like if I think like, oh, I'm hungry. I want a meal, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And if I think, oh, I want something to snack on, that means I want like a cookie or something.
Mm-hmm.
There's no place in my diet for a fruit. There's no like fruit is too big for a snack. A fruit is too small for a meal. So
too small for a meal, too big for a snack.
Yeah, there's no place for it.
Yeah, okay.
It's hard to eat. It's hard for me to.
Bananas are radioactive. I did not know that.
Yeah, they are.
That's cool.
Bananas are more radioactive than like anything you'll ever have in your house.
Radioactive. They're
nice. Crazy radioactive. But they don't cause any problems.
Mm-hmm. Moonlit, you recorded a professional BTS shoot of a film charity.
What?
So, like, you were you like the cameraman? Were you like the key grip? Were you like the best boy or whatever? Like, what? Because, you read the credits as like a movie or whatever, and they got all these titles that, I don't even have any idea what they do. There's like the best boy, and there's the the key grip and the assistant to the key grip and the grip and the... You were the cameraman filming the people on film. Ah, nice. Cool. That's a very important job.
Yeah.
And can be kind of a dangerous job. Like, I don't know. Like some of these guys that do these weird extreme videos or whatever. I think about their camera guy. Like, how their camera guy... like, what's he doing?
I'm always wondering, how's the camera there? Nowadays, you have to worry less about that because there's going to be like a drone that's being flown and it's a little bit safer or something.
Right.
But back in the day, it was always like, wait, how did they get this shot? Whoa. No, hold on. You guys are undermining the cameraman right now because, whoa.
Yeah. All right. So you were sitting cross-legged on top of a hill with a tripod. All right. That sounds relatively benign and good. Awesome. Well, cool. So yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear you guys are doing well. How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing great, thank you. Every day is who knows what's gonna be, but in terms of like health. But right now I'm doing pretty good.
Nice.
So that's great. We'll see how I'm doing the next hour, if I can form the words that I mean to come out of my mouth or not. How are you doing, Joe?
I'm fantastic. It's been a crazy week. I will tell you, I'm not. So we always do our disclaimer at the beginning of Don't Worry Wednesday, where we're like, okay, we're not professional therapists, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to go ahead and give another disclaimer and say the views expressed may or may not necessarily reflect the views of BSS and or Don't Worry Wednesday, because I'm in a weird...
Wow.
My brain is in a weird spot, man. Like, I got sick, and then I got a little bit better, and then I worked 2 like 12-hour shifts, you know, and then I got
Ah,
sick again, and I was like sick all day today, and I slept, and
mm,
also in the
man, you've been
midst of
sick a
this
lot.
has been like there's like it hits you when it rains it pours, right? So like you get
Yeah.
hit physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in all areas. It's just like steamrolled me over. So I survived it, and I'm here, and I'm like, but
Yeah.
I'm in this like weird frame of mind. So it could be an interesting show.
All right. Well, we'll have fun with it either way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be good. So, all right. Let's see. Uh oh, I'm the host. Yeah,
Nice.
see,
Yeah.
once again, brain fuzz.
Yeah. If you need help, you can I can help. You can
Yeah.
lean on me if you want.
I
Just let me know.
will lean on you all the way from here.
Okay. Wow. That's quite the
That's
stretch, man.
that's a crazy heavy lean, man. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Um so all right. Well, that's cool. Moonlit, that's awesome. So is that what you're studying
Yeah.
in school? Are you doing like film? Maybe you said this. Um you just sort of got a few wide shots and then follow people with the camera. Yeah, that's cool. Um Creative and digital media course. Cool. That's awesome. There's a lot involved in that I just don't understand. Oh, it's a
Yeah.
foundational apprenticeship. Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
So this could lead to a job eventually if it's a lot of
Where
times
did
as an
you have to
apprentice.
go to get the take? Like, were you I guess, yeah, like what area of the world? What state? That's
Moonlit,
cool
I
though.
think. Moonlit, are you in Australia or England or something? Scotland. Scotland.
Scotland. Nice. That's cool. That's cool.
So it's late for you.
I like Scotland. I'm part Irish, but part of me wishes I was part Scottish because Scotland is awesome. But I do like Ireland as well. There's a lot to be happy about there. Like we have Saint Patrick, Saint
Mm-hmm.
Patricius. That's
Patricius.
his
That
Patricius.
was his Roman name.
That's his original Roman name. His birth name was Patricius,
Patricius.
but they changed it to Patrick because that was much easier to pronounce for the Irish.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's early. Yeah. Late, early. Eh.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's really early. Well, yeah,
That's cool.
pretty early.
So, right on, guys. Well, we've got a couple topics. If you have a topic, go to don'tworrywednesday.com. We've got 2 topics right now. So please send us topics.
Mm-hmm.
Go to don'tworrywednesday.com and hit the topic button. Hit the submit a topic button and then go and submit a topic if you have a topic. Or we can just talk from the chat, but we got a couple topics. We're going to do one. We got a couple topics from anonymous people. We've got one about love languages, and we have one about a friend that seems not like themselves. So I think we'll do these in order in which they were received. And we'll start with the finding my love language topic. Yeah, once again,
Awesome.
guys, go to don'tworrywednesday.com if you have a topic and click submit a topic, and we would love to do your topic. So, but we'll jump into this love languages one. And I will
Let's
get
do
it up on the screen so you guys can read along while I read it aloud. So it's called Finding My Love Language. And it reads like this. Chapter 7 of the Red Book Love Languages. The only one that I can remember is gift giving / receiving, and that's not me. I wonder what mine is and if that is useful to know. Seems like it would help to know. Maybe useful to know how to recognize others' love languages as well, though that seems hard. And that is from Anonymous. And Anonymous, you're right. Um, it can be a little bit daunting
Mm.
to determine a love language. A lot of times, it's easier to determine your own than it is to determine someone else's, even if they tell it to you. But then sometimes they tell it to you, and maybe they don't really know. So sometimes what you do is you just try. You try to like the different love languages on them and see how they respond. If they respond, like they were, like they're very receptive to that or whatever, then you can know. So you mentioned on there on your topic that the one about gift giving and receiving. That is definitely one. Gifts is one. Words of affirmation. That's my main one. Quality time, physical touch, and acts of service. Those are the five. Um, so that was five, right? Words of affirmation, gifts, uh, physical touch, quality time, and acts of service. Right?
Yeah.
Five. So yeah, wasn't there somebody who went by the red book? Yeah, it was whoever it was the red book, but we didn't know who that was, so we called them anonymous. But they're the red book. Okay, so they said I think they did chapters 1, 3, and 4 or something confusing like that. I vaguely remember having a conversation trying to figure that out. I gotcha. So anyway, but yeah, the love languages thing, it is very helpful. It's helpful to know yours, and it's helpful to know other people's, especially if you're in a friendship with them or you're a family member with them, or if you're married to them, especially, or whatever. That can be really helpful to know, because the way you express and receive love is probably different from the people around you, or it could possibly be different. And so then when you're expressing love in your love language only, is like I'm speaking English to someone who doesn't speak English, right? Like if I'm words of affirmation and I'm giving all these words of affirmation to show that I love this person, and they are in acts of service, their love language is acts of service. They'd rather me go help them do something, right? Like I'm going to show them love by going and doing the dishes with them or for them or whatever, right? Or if somebody's love language is physical touch and I'm going and working my fingers to the bone doing the dishes and cleaning the house and doing all kinds of stuff to show that I love by doing acts of service, and all I need to do is go and put my arm around them. You can wear yourself out, trying to express love and really have it be a frustrating thing. So I can remember there are relationships I've been in where I've been told the love language of that the person said. The person told me what their love language was, and it wasn't actually right, because I would try different love languages, and I found out they told me their love language is physical touch, but they're really more of a gifts person. And you see it in the response. You just got to pay attention to people, as they respond, like how they feel loved. And yeah, so anyway, it's definitely helpful to know. It's helpful to know yours. And I think sometimes they change, and we have a couple that we respond to. So a couple of those, but it's great to be aware, and it's great to learn how to speak them. It's great to learn how to understand, because then it's just going to enrich whatever relationships you have. So I'm going to turn this over to Ryan and see what he's got to say. I think that was one of the books you read through, right? The 5 Love Languages?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really good. It's really good. It's very helpful. But so I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and see what he's got to say. So, Ryan, it is all yours, my friend.
I'll give him my best. Like I said before, I think last time, this is one of the few books I've actually read all the way through from cover to cover in my whole life. And at the time, I did that because I had just experienced like a breakup with someone I was in a relationship with for like 4.5 years or something. And I was like, what went wrong? I need to figure this out. I need to fix this or whatever, right? And so I picked up this book that I had laying around forever, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna read it. And so then I read it um, from basically front to back in one day. It was like 12 hours. It took me a long time to read it, 12 hours to read it. Most people could read that book in like 5 hours. I'm a very slow reader. And so yeah, I found it very, very helpful, thought provocative, and useful. I think that it's important to know that your relationships, while this can help, the love languages, they're very helpful, they're very useful. And when you know them and you can utilize them, you will, like Joe said, you'll be better spending your energy when you want to communicate love to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Your love that you're trying to communicate will be more pinpointed towards their experience of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can help them feel loved in the way that they feel loved, which is great. But I would say that on top of that, relationships, and we're talking about like friendships as well as romantic, right? All of these love languages apply, even if it's just a friendship, or even an enemy, it's just whatever. But I think that this love language thing, while it's incredibly useful, isn't necessarily the solution to every problem, nor is it a strong foundation necessarily. I think there's a lot that goes on in relationships, and a lot of it is handled by how you intend to treat that person, right? And if you intend to treat them with love, I think that goes a lot farther than just knowing their love language and trying to operate it without, having the right mindset. So it's a good useful set of tools to have in your belt. But relationships aren't going to be completely solved by this one book by any means. And that's great. There's a lot to them. I like the my favorite part of the book was when it was talking about why relationships often die, because I think that that's really useful, and I think a lot of people don't fully grasp these romantic relationships and their what's kind of going on in their mental state. And I really like that the book addresses that. I think I don't know what chapter that is, but it's somewhere in the book. They kind of address it throughout, that people have this emotional high, and the emotional high is not love. Certainly isn't true love, right? The emotional high is an emotional experience only you experience. The other person is not experiencing that. Or maybe they are, but it doesn't matter because that's only in your head. But the love that you give is external. It shows itself to them and provides something for them, right? But the emotional high is not something to chase after. I think a lot of people, we end up in these relationships because of an emotional high, and they can turn out for like the better, right? Because this person could be a good positive influence on our lives. But yeah, a lot of times we end up chasing an emotion rather than chasing or pursuing or anything, something that's good and fruitful. And I think that was something that I learned from the book that I thought was very useful and helpful and good. A good lesson. And that's something that, it's something you sort of intuit, but at the time I had never heard anyone say it out loud, And so for me, that was really useful to realize, like, okay, there are many people, and including myself, in times in my life where I recognize, like, okay, I'm just chasing after emotions rather than chasing after something that's truly good.
Yeah.
And so I think that's useful, right? But as far as as your topic goes, you wonder what yours is. I think the best way to find out and to know is, it can be hard to think about your past, some people, but if you can think about your past, think about different times people have done different things and how you experience them. If you can't think about your past, just be aware of your present. I would say, like as you're going throughout your days, anytime you feel like, oh, I felt very loved by that person. Like I felt like that person went out of their way for me. I felt that was very kind to them. Now, this isn't going to be a perfect tell, but it can narrow them down at the very least. If you've received lots of gifts before, but like your example, you said, the one that you can remember is gift receiving, and that's not you. But that's not you because you think about gifts and you think, mm, they don't do it for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't make me feel especially loved. I would a lot of times probably rather not receive a gift because it's just like super awkward when someone gives me a gift and I don't know what to do with it. Like, how how do how do I reflect what they want out of me by giving this gift to me? Because like, oh, they want me to be like happy and surprised and joyful, but that's just not in me. Like I'm, those are your experiences. Those are certainly my experiences. I always feel bad, well, not always, but I used to a lot feel bad when people would give me gifts because I'm like, I I cannot give you, I can't reciprocate. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I can't respond in the way that's appropriate to the love you're trying to show me,
Right.
you know? And it hurts kind of to know that, and it kind of stinks. And it's just um but I'm a little bit I'm over that now. I can receive gifts and so on and do my best to reciprocate, do my best to show them, even if I know that um you know, I'm never wanting for a gift. I'm never hoping for one. I'm never, I'm not necessarily in any way fulfilled in a internal way to feel like throughout the day, I'm like, wow, that was so nice of them. I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel those ways, but I can do my best to respond and give them love however best I can at those moments because it's not necessarily about what I get to feel, right? It's
Right.
about their intention, and I recognize their intention, and I appreciate that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I can feel loved by knowing that their intention was for me to feel loved, right? And so that's kind of how I have worked that out. But for you, it's not gifts, right? So then think about words of affirmation. Words of affirmation is mine, and it's also Joe's.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we both have several. There's quality time as well. I think that's important, and so is all the other ones. But if you think about, well, I guess another one, physical touch is an interesting one because um, there are people who are really touchy people out there,
Mm-hmm.
and you see them like put their hands on other people's shoulders when they go up to them on their chair, like constantly, always just touch.
Mm-hmm.
Those people generally their love language is touch, right? You can kind
Mm-hmm.
of figure that out. If you see someone who's really touchy, like not touchy in the way that's like, don't touch me, but touchy in the way that it's like they approach people, they put their hands on people when they speak to them, they grab their hand and talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've probably seen that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember several people in my life, more so old ladies, but this is nevertheless, like they go up to talk to you and they grab for your hand and they hold your hand while they talk to you, even strangers, right? But they mean well, and they're showing this love and affection for you, even though you're strangers. It's a beautiful thing, and so you gotta figure those ones out, and maybe that's what you are. Maybe you don't even realize you're doing that. You know, um, I personally am not a fan of this, says Moonlit, and I
Wait, you're
think
not a fan of this
physical touch,
topic or people touching you?
people touching, I'm going to guess, and that's the thing too is I think this is one of them that's like most people are like super, yeah, exactly, people touching
Uh-huh.
me, yeah, people are like, ew, don't touch me, please don't touch me, right? People are very much like that, but so that's a hard love language to have in our modern world because everyone's like, they don't want to be touched.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember when I was at a convention, someone was speaking and I really took it to heart, and I think Joe did too if I remember correctly, but someone was just like, you have to embrace touch because we're humans. And while we don't all operate in that love language, and it's not necessarily even about love, there is a nature to us that physical touch, no matter who you are, means something special. And that's why we don't want to be touched, because it
Mm-hmm.
means something special. It's a bit intense,
Mm-hmm.
right, to be touched. And so if you can learn to operate with good intention in your touch and at least be willing to receive it, it goes a really far way in your relationships and building them, because even someone who's not physical touch, if you touch, like pat them on the back, touch them on the shoulder for like a good job, they did a good job, or you're just saying, hey buddy, how's it going? You give them a handshake or a hug or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something is very neurologically transmitted that's like intense.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be used to create a strong relationship, or to to build that relationship. And so I was like, okay, cool, that's really cool. So I kind of learned to just accept it. And I'm not put off by the physical touch, but I remember when I was a kid, I was very, very put off by it.
Mm-hmm.
So my perspective had to change for that, but it worked. I'm still not a physical touch love language person though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. And then words of affirmation. I think if you think about words, are you the kind of person that if you see someone that you have love towards or affection, or you just want to like, by affection, I just mean you appreciate them. You want them to know that they're awesome,
Mm-hmm.
right? You want them to know that you think well of them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Do you find yourself often using your words to tell them? I think that that's a pretty strong tell if that's the case, right? Are you the kind of person that says, I love you? Are you the kind of person that goes out of your way to say, oh, I really ought to tell that person, blah, 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 because they're so amazing. I just want to tell them they're amazing. And you'll go up there and you'll tell them that they're amazing. You'll say all of the words at them to let them know, like, oh, no, dude, no, seriously, you're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think so highly of you, right? Are these the kinds of things that you do? If they are, then that might be one of your love languages.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not, then it's probably not. If you're not a person that's ever expressed like immense gratitude or expressed how you think about someone and their like just awesomeness, if you don't find that in yourself or in your family, like you've never done that, it might not be yours, but it might be you just haven't let it come out. I know that, in certain families, people don't say things like "I love you." They don't say words of affirmation. They never affirm each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that they don't love each other. It's just that that's not in their culture to some degree,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think it's important to attempt it to find out, and to hear it and listen. And if you receive it and it feels like, if you go throughout your day and be like, wow, blah, blah, blah said this to me. I felt so good. That was amazing. Like the rest of your day feels better because someone said something to you, right? Then this might be your love language, right?
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, I think everyone should express words of affirmation to everybody, because even if it's not your love language, telling other people what you like about them, even if it's not their love language, is incredibly useful to them because it builds up their esteem. It lets them know what they're doing right. It's useful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it feels good. I mean, it's great. It helps. Now, not everybody receives it as a feel good, but they can still utilize it.
Mm-hmm.
So having that feedback, especially in any good relationship, is important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all of the love languages are like that, right? They have their use, their goodness. Even gifts, if you're not into receiving gifts, it can open you up to, it can open up your perspective and mind to something more, something deeper, right? No matter what the love language is. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're willing to go the mile, then you can get something out of it, right? And yeah, I mean, acts of service, I mean, that's a given, right? Same thing. If you find yourself doing things for others to show them that you appreciate them,
Mm-hmm.
your affection or your love towards them, your friends and your family, your whatever, if you find yourself, oftentimes you go out of your way to do something. Now let's talk about doing. Like Joe said, it could be the dishes, it could be helping them with their homework, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you're in school and you're like, oh, I want to help them with their homework. That's a doing thing. Not everybody thinks that sort of thing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you think that, you're weird, okay? It means you have this love language, okay? So just know that it's like kind of how it is with all of these, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you think, oh wow, I really want to get that person this gift, that's a little bit weird, because not everybody's like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird in a good way because it's you showing your love, right? And so if you're thinking like, if you're thinking in the middle of the day like, oh, I really want to do this for that person, it's not that's not something that a lot of people have think about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you notice other people need help with their homework and you want to get in there and do it, right? That means your love language is probably acts of service.
Mm.
If you notice something needs to get done and you want to do it for them, that's acts of service. That's an acts of service sort of mentality. That's your love language. And then what's the last one?
Quality time.
Time. Quality time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And quality time, here's the thing about quality time. And quality time is an interesting one. It just means spending time with a person because the person values time, right? If a person has a deep natural value for time, if you have, like I did to Joe once, if you set, or probably more than once, if you set up a time and you're late to that and they're offended, if you set up a time and you end up not being able to show up and you don't let them know and they're offended by that, that person is probably quality time. Because not everybody gets offended when you don't show up.
I think that's just offensive. But that's
See,
just
quality
me.
time. If someone,
I wouldn't rate that as one of my top 2.
Yeah, sure. But I think it's in there. Like, because for me, for several people I know, a lot of people I know, if you are late to something, they don't care at all. If you just don't even show up, depending on the scenario and your relationship with them, they just don't care. They're like, oh, they didn't show up. And it's not like, oh, they always never show up. It's like, oh, they didn't show up. I'm not going to take that to heart. I'm sure they had something going on. It's okay. Maybe they just slept through it. I'm not offended. I'll see them another day, But if you get offended, it might be one of your language. Oh, might be. Okay, it might be. Although
Ryan,
there's a chance
to pigeonhole me.
There's a chance that you would grow up with people who had a high intense priority on time, and they instilled that perspective in you that if someone doesn't show up, that they've done a terrible thing and you should be upset at them. And that could be also the case where you've just kind of grown up in that culture that you have to be perfectly on time for everything or you've done it wrong. I didn't grow up in that culture because my mom was the realtor and there was nothing that could ever be on time because you're dealing with too many people and you're dealing with too many constraints everywhere and too many phone calls and everything's too much. So, and you never know how long traffic's going to take you to get from one place to another, and you got to travel all over the place. It's just, I grew up with my mom's time issues, and I was like, okay, so I don't care about that, So maybe that's a me thing. Maybe it's, I don't know. But anyways, I'm not trying to pigeonhole you, Joe. I just think quality time is important to you. You value time for sure. My wife values time. My wife values time, but isn't upset or anything. But she likes efficiency, right? If things are done quickly, she's like, I did a good job because it was done quickly. If it takes a long time, she's like, oh, it's taking too long. It's a value of time thing. I think it's great. But she really likes quality time. I think that's one of her love languages is quality time. So to pay attention to yourself in that. Do you value time? Do you find time to be really important? And then also when you're thinking about people and you're like, do you think things like, oh man, I just kind of want to hang out with them. I just want to spend some time with them. I want to go watch a movie with them, or I want to go play a game with them. I want to do something with them. Like I just want to be around them. I just want to spend time around them. That's a very normal thing. I think we all feel that, right? We all feel like, oh, I just want to be around that person. But if you feel like it's to the next level where it's like, in order to feel like you are actually doing something together, you have to be doing something together. For example, you might, like, there are certain people that I've known in my life who had quality time as their love language. And if I spent time with them, they would be very happy, right? But if I was doing things with them but wasn't spending time with them, like with my mind actively engaged on them, they wouldn't feel satisfied. They wouldn't feel like we spent any time together at all. They'd be like, I didn't see you today. And I'm like, we were together the entire day. What are you talking about? But for them, they didn't see me because they didn't have my full attention, or we weren't doing something necessarily together to the same objective. We weren't playing a game together and interacting, or we weren't whatever, right? And so if you ever feel that feeling, I've never really completely felt that feeling before, but other people feel that. If you feel that, it might be quality time that your love language is. And if none of this applies, none of these feel like, okay, I can relate to that. That's okay. Maybe you are kind of just, you have several, but none of them stand out.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you just haven't gone through enough experiences yet, which is okay, to kind of figure it out, to have solid foundational ahas. Also, it's a book written by Gary Chapman,
Mm-hmm.
who isn't in any way the one who wrote the rules of the world. And there might be 7 love languages. Who knows? There could be several missing.
Yeah,
We don't know.
This is his observation.
This is his observation. Right. And if you're not any of them, yeah, it's not like you're broken. It just means that you're not any of those ones that he could find. And I would say that the very fact that you love is more important necessarily. It is more important than the love languages. Love languages are just really helpful tools in expressing the way someone feels loved to them.
Mm-hmm.
So that you know how to encounter different people and their different personalities or different love languages. So, like, if I have a friend who values who really values acts of service, and I want to let them know, like, hey man, you're super loved. If I go over there and just talk to them and be like, have a good time, and like say really nice things to them and affirm them, I know that that's not going to make their day better. They're going to forget that we had that conversation. They're not going to care about it. But if I go over and I help them with something like, hey, I saw you were moving these chairs around. Let me help you. You know, if I do that, they're going to be like, wow, I feel good. Today's a good day, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so these are really helpful tools. Now, let's say there's more than just 5, okay? Just pay attention. Just pay attention to how people and sort of attempt to learn how they express themselves, and then express yourself back to them in that way. When you notice that they're like, they have if they want to show affection to something and the way that they do it, utilize that pattern for them, because that's what's going to be most effective in making them feel appreciated. So I think even if you can't find yours and it's hard to find others, that's okay. Just pay attention. Do your best to observe as the book writer Chapman had paid attention and attempted to observe and found these to be pretty solid ones, right? So there you go. That's what I got. Quite lengthy, but there you have it.
You did good. It was a really good,
Thanks.
really good explanation of all of that stuff. It was interesting. I still don't think mine's quality time.
I don't think yours is quality time. I think you care about time.
I think.
Well,
no, what I
think it's important.
See, we can turn that. What it's important is consistency and character, and it's a words thing, because if you say you're going to be somewhere, and then you don't, did you just lie?
Right. What if someone doesn't say?
Well, then there was no appointment made.
Well, there's an appointment, but no one said anything. Like, there was no communication.
No, there was communication at the setting up of the appointment. Like, we're going to meet at this point in time, right?
Okay, if we say, yeah. If it's something like, if we're going to meet at this time every day or until whenever we stop it, right? You feel like that's a words thing?
Well, kind of. Well, part of it probably has to do with my personality as well, not just a love language thing. This goes beyond the love languages thing. You know, I'm an INFJ, and so I'm an idealist, and so consistency and honesty is pretty key, you know, and everything has to kind of line up, you know, like everything has to make sense and line up and, you know, whatever. And so like so I do my best to, you know, if I say something, I mean it, like I'm doing it. And if I can't, I'm going to make contact and, you know, like say I can't, or I'm going to be late, or I'm whatever, right? And so like because it's probably because I hold myself to that standard, and like I'm kind of neurotic, that's the reason that was a big deal. But anyway,
Yeah, fair enough.
um, what what if you
Yeah, because
communicated
to
but
me
they
that's
never
not really a words
responded?
thing, but yeah.
What if you
Oh yeah,
communicated
yeah.
but
I
they
don't
never
know.
responded and you just thought they agreed, but instead they didn't know about it or didn't get to saying no? No, that doesn't
Oh
no,
man.
because that
Yeah, that
doesn't
would
count.
not probably.
Yeah, if it
Fair
wasn't
enough. Yeah.
confirmed, to some, yeah.
Mm. Yeah,
Um.
there has to be communication, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but love languages is interesting, and I don't know. It's weird. So we speak in these love languages and we don't even know it, right?
Yeah. Right. It's just how we naturally communicate.
Right. And but what's key, I love what Ryan said, because one of the keys is that you're feeling the love inside you. Like you're thinking in terms of I love this person. I love this person. I love this
Hmm.
person. And the more you can do that and keep that in your heart and in your mind, things are going to go smoothly regardless of what your love language or their love language is, because it's going to show through your actions, your words, your body language. It's going to show in all of that. Like, I love this person. I love this person. And so, but all of those other things, I mean, I can't remember what Gary Chapman was. Was he a marriage counselor? I don't know. He might have been.
Yeah, I think he was.
And so this was some of the
Yeah, he
stuff
was.
that he came up with in his, like, to help people with marriage issues, right? And it also helps with parenting. Like, I have
Yeah.
worked on observing and trying different things with my kids, as far as what their love languages are. And one of them, I'm pretty sure, is physical touch is the main one for him. And another one, words of affirmation. And so, but I try and keep an eye on that because it kind of changes, and we have more than one. Like I talked about, mine being the words of affirmation. Another big one of how I express love is acts of service.
Hmm.
Like, I go do things for people. I go do things with people, for people. I do acts of service. So that's one of the ways that I show that I love someone is,
Hmm.
one, affirming them and talking, speaking into them, and then also, acts of service. Now, here's the other thing about that. Now, this whole love language thing is a little bit of a double-edged sword, because it's also, when these languages are used in a negative or violent way, they can have double the impact based on someone's love language. Like, for me, words of affirmation is my main one. So when someone speaks words of affirmation to me, it like fills me up and I feel really, really good. And it's great. When someone is really critical and uses words to be really critical or mean or whatever, it's doubly effective in knocking me down. Right?
Mm.
Because that's my main love language, and it's a sensitive area. And so it's the same thing. If someone's a physical contact person, like putting your arm on their shoulder, patting them on the head, scratching their back a little bit, whatever, or, give them a little, punch on the
Nuts.
shoulder, or something, some
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
thing. But, those little things can show love. But if you act physically violent with them, they're going to be doubly scared of you.
Yeah.
Or be doubly
Right.
hurt by you. Not just physically hurt, but they're going to be hurt emotionally, right?
Hmm.
And it's going to hurt even more. So I think in terms of that, it's really like this whole love languages thing. It's good to know. It's good to learn. Like Ryan said, it's not the end all be all of love. It's not like everything. There's a lot that goes into this. But I think the key probably is just what Ryan was saying, is that, like, if you are feeling love in your heart, if you're feeling love for this person, and you make sure, that you are thinking that while you're interacting with them, I think it's going to just come through. It'll come through naturally without it. So it's not necessarily something you need to know. It just can be very helpful. And especially if you're striking out, if you're trying to work on things, if you're trying to establish or repair a relationship with somebody, these can be really, really good to know. And they can be helpful in your journey of doing that. So I don't know. That's Ryan, you said it all, man. Like I I don't know what I'm gonna
Yeah, I
add
guess
to
I
this. Yeah, like
tried to.
you did
I just read the
really
book, basically.
well, yeah, you did really uh wow. Jeff, you've known Static 14 years and he answered this authentically, almost word for word on the five love languages as a conversation in Milwaukee in June of 2015. Dang, that's a
Jeff,
pretty
Jeff
good
has
memory you got, Jeff.
Jeff has the most insane memory
He does.
I've ever met of
He does.
anybody. It's
Yep.
incredible.
Yep. He will remember all of it.
I love that about Jeff.
Yep. He knows the Billboard charts from, 1950 to now.
Yeah, it's
Something. I don't
incredible.
know. Like, yeah. Jeff has an amazing mind. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yep.
You
So
gotta hire him. Oh.
oh, wait.
Yeah.
So anyway, what time of day was it? Ah, that's a good question.
That's a good question. That could have been like at 2 a.m.
That could have been. It probably wasn't. I don't know. It could have been any time because we were staying up like super late. I would say it
Yeah, we
normally
were.
wouldn't be early in the morning, but but maybe it was.
Hey, Beanster, welcome.
Hey, welcome, Beanzer. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it could have been any time because we were literally up at like 7 a.m. and going to bed at like 5 a.m. So
It was like early afternoon. Okay.
wow. Before sessions. Wow.
Yeah.
Everybody's got incredible. Every once in a while, I always surprise myself, and I was like, "Wow, I remembered that." Jeez. But then, like, that's like a one-off thing, you know?
Yeah.
Jeff just remembers everything. He's
He
incredible.
does. Yep, that's true. So anyway, so the Red Book guy, if that whatever, yeah, the Red Book is the name of the person. Hopefully, some of this was helpful for you. I will say, yeah, it's good to know your love language. It's good to know yours, and it's good to pay attention. And especially if you're having trouble and you want to build a deeper relationship with somebody, whether it's a friend or a partner or a family member or whoever, to improve it. Like these can be great tools to improve relationships and to express love and to keep these things in the back of your mind as you're doing stuff. But it's not the main thing. The main thing is what's going on in your heart. If you love, it's going to radiate all out of you. It just is. If you have love in your heart, it's just going to radiate from you, and people are going to feel it. And some people are going to be repelled by it, and that's okay because
that's true because it's like physical touch or gifts or whatever.
Yeah, right, right.
Sometimes. Or words of affirmation. Some people just like they do not know how to respond to that, and so.
Yeah. Oh, or another thing that could happen too, like, there was a question in here, Saule, I think. Could someone have a different love giving language than their love receiving language? I think that is definitely possible, but I don't know. I feel like that could be caused environmentally. Like if somebody, I can think in my experience, if you try and love someone with a certain love language and it is responded to with violence, then you might be, even if that's your main love language, you might be a little bit touchy of giving that out because you experienced violence when they, as a response to you giving that love language. So now you have that in the back of your head. Okay, don't do that because it ends badly, right? But it was just that one person in that one moment being upset with you about whatever, right? So, but all of these things can affect us, right? And so,
yeah, for sure.
In this way of doing things, we all, I don't think any of us have one love language that we speak. We can speak them all. It's just that these are ones that we're most attuned to, and it kind of acts on a continuum, and it could change throughout your life too. Yeah,
of course.
So
yeah, as your perspective opens up, you're more willing to try different things, and sometimes you have a special moment in something, and it kind of opens up a new pathway that's like, oh, you know what? I like this now, and you never liked it before just because of one special event in your life, or if it could be a horrendous event that kind of closes you down, like Joe was just saying, and that happens. So I think a lot of this is quite very environmental and not static, right? It's dynamic. It's moving. Yeah.
Yep, I think you're right. So
And
anyway,
sorry, Joe, for bringing up the. I'm trying to pigeonhole you. I wasn't really trying to pigeonhole you. I was like, this is something Joe clearly cares about, but not necessarily attached to your love language. Anyways.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
But yeah, and tempted to use you as an example, but I guess that wasn't really helpful.
Well, I was like, wait, that's weird because I never thought of myself as a quality time person. I mean, I am, but I enjoy spending time with people.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I enjoy spending time with people. It's good.
But no, that's totally fine. That's totally fine.
Yeah, do you ever get the feeling of like you miss somebody, you just want to spend time with them?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of rare.
Yeah, I mean, I'd much like speaking with somebody, even just on the phone or text or whatever, in DMs or whatever.
Sure.
That strikes a big chord with me.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But
yeah, it's interesting because I don't often think in terms of of the time thing. And it doesn't seem like you do either, because I don't think about I don't have that feeling very often, where I think of someone, I'm like, I don't know, have this sense of longing to, I don't know, just if I love someone, usually it's not connected to this sort of longing to have to spend time with them, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to define what I'm kind of thinking, but yeah.
No, I get you. I don't think that's really one of mine.
Yeah,
it's kind of down there.
Yeah, one of the things I think about though is when I think about people and how valuable they are, I always come to the conclusion that there's nothing I can do to fully satisfy the amount of love that should be given them by me. Because when I look at people, it's I would have to spend every moment of every day thinking and doing and speaking and giving and whatever to them to truly even begin to satisfy their infinite value, because they're capable of receiving all of that love, because love is just endless. But the problem is I don't have infinite time to do that with. I don't have infinite money and gifts to send. I don't have any of this kind of stuff. But it's really nice to think about people in that terms, because at some point it helps you to prioritize and go okay, well, what can I do, for the people around me? And then another point, it helps you to see people with this great perspective that helps you navigate your relationship with them, or at least just speak with them or whatever at any given moment. I think it's very, very nice. But yeah, there's no amount of love that I could ever really give anyone that would just be enough. And I think that's great.
Well,
I think it's lovely.
Yeah, that's the way that we're built. It's true.
It makes me happy.
Well, good. I'm glad you're happy.
Yeah. Thanks.
Hey, Kendra, welcome. Finally able to join. Great to see you.
Welcome.
Yes. We're just wrapping up this topic on the love languages. But yeah, we had a pretty good discussion.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, thank you, the Red Book, for this topic, for the love languages topic. Again, just make sure, if you're feeling love for someone, feel that in your heart when you're interacting.
Yeah.
Kishan, you have a topic. Okay.
If we're interested, of course we're interested.
Always interested in topics. And if you have a topic, you can go to don'tworrywednesday.com and submit it, or you can just put it in the chat. We'd be happy to talk about it too. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Kishin, fire away, buddy.
Far away.
Yeah.
Yeah, we only have one
Damn,
topic
because the
left in the
site
queue,
doesn't.
guys. So,
Oh, really? Okay. The site didn't work yet
oh,
again. Dang it.
it's really strange. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with our website. Something's wrong with our website.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder what
Or
the
maybe not.
circumstances are.
Maybe,
If they're
yeah.
using a special browser or if they're using a phone or what.
I
Well, other
don't
people
know.
said it works on their phone, so
Yeah, a lot of
I don't know.
people haven't had the trouble.
Might be a browser thing.
You are
Oh
interesting,
man.
Saule.
I'm sorry to hear that, Kendra. I hope your back gets better. That's awful.
Oh, man.
Chiropractor? Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never
Hopefully
been
they
to a
can give
chiropractor.
you.
Have you?
I have, yeah.
Yeah?
You think you
Yeah, pinched a nerve.
pinched a nerve? Yeah, that's definitely possible.
Mhm.
There's a lot going on, and sometimes an adjustment can help. Okay, Saule
Thanks,
says
Kishin.
I was able to submit one for Firefox. All right, sent to static. Good
Okay.
job. Good job.
Yeah. Did you send
So-
it to Joe too?
Nope.
Otherwise, I will, because
Sent
Joe's
it
going to
to
be the one
you.
to read it this day. Okay. I'll just copy paste this to you.
Okay.
Yep. There you have it. Oh, okay. That's good. That's
Oh, you
fair
know
enough.
my account.
Thank you, Kishin. So I just assume everybody knows everything, I guess. You know?
So I won't be able to put this up on the screen, but I can read it. But it's called Feeling Claustrophobic in My Own Skin. So I'll just put that up. Feeling claustrophobic in your own skin.
You think your issue is your browser or something? Yeah, it could be.
It's definitely possible.
That happens.
Oh, come on.
To be sure.
There we go. All right. Thank you, Kishin, for the topic. So we're gonna do Kishin's topic. You have heavily modded Chrome. All right, mods can do some interesting stuff. And the weird and because here's another thing too, because our topic submission thing, all that stuff is like it's a Windows product, right? Windows, because it all runs into Microsoft Teams. You know, it just automatically goes in there. So all that stuff is Windows. Yeah, but like Windows is touchy, man, and in a lot of cases it's stupid because there's a lot of weirdness, and if you mod something, then Windows just freaks out and doesn't like it or something, you know, or if you come in there's just some kind of weirdness. But I appreciate that you're Windows as opposed to Apple. I mean, Apple people are just fine. Apple itself is not, but Apple people are fine. So, all right. Hey, good. Yeah.
Oh,
good.
wait.
Kendra uses Windows. Yay. Everybody's gonna be like, "Hey, I use Windows," and then some people are gonna be like, "I use Apple," and then there's gonna be that one guy that's like, "I use Linux."
I use Linux, and then we all look at you like, "Yeah, we know you're the best." All right, let's go.
Yep, you're the smartest one in the room, you know.
Yeah, I've never used Linux, but I appreciate when people do.
Yeah, man. Like I have very, very limited experience with Linux, but but I know, hey, it works, and yeah. So, all right, here we go. So this is
lots of Linux.
This is gonna be called "Feeling Claustrophobic in Your Own Skin." I'm just gonna read it out loud, and then we'll get to it. So, and this is from Kishin. Says, this might seem like an almost dysphoria-esque question, but it's actually about something both of you know well: music, specifically technique. I've been practicing solo snare quite a bit lately, as it is one of the two fundamentals every percussionist learns. And I've been having this dissonance between how my brain says a thing should feel and how it actually feels. Percussionists train quite a bit to become essentially ambidextrous, and while I have a good technique in my right hand, my left never feels even. And I'm not talking about sound, I'm talking about how the stick feels in my hand. It's like my grip is a millimeter off, the tendons are just in the wrong spots, something, and it's incredibly frustrating. It feels like my hand isn't my own, and every time I focus on correcting the problem, I'm hit with an overwhelming sense of wrongness. It's a weird, irrational panic reaction that I can only link to some sort of claustrophobia or like an OCD experience. It's so hard to explain, but as I have a recital coming up, it's been weighing quite a bit on my mind. Even when I record myself and sound even, it doesn't feel even. It's entirely possible this is just something I have to practice through, especially as someone who's only been playing the instrument for about 3 years. But man, is it freaky. To be clear, I'm not asking for a lesson here, though feel free, but I feel like this is really a psychological issue more than anything. And that is from Kishin. So, great question. Oh my gosh. And I can tell you that my hands don't feel even either. But, especially snare drum, right? I mean, I'm a percussionist. I've been a percussionist for a really, really long time. It was one of my majors. When I went to college, I majored in percussion. And you're right. Snare drum is very fundamental because all the rudiments are there, right? And that's, you can take all of the training you do on a snare drum and then you can bring it to other instruments, except for timpani. How you hold the mallets on timpani is way different. And how that's played, is quite a bit different than snare drum. But you still use the techniques and all the rudiments that you learn. You love the French grip for timpani. Is that the one like where you have your hands turned all the way over and you're like, so the stick comes through like right here and you're using your fingers? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like timpani, like cymbal playing. Yeah. So it ends up being quite a bit different. But anyway, even still, like my left hand and my right hand are not, they're not equal. They never feel equal. Like as I hold the sticks, I notice a lot of times my thumbs slip down. So a lot of times you kind of want your thumb in line with the stick, Let's see if I get this in the camera. So like if this is the stick, so you're holding it, right? And your thumb's kind of in line. My thumb will like slip down like this. And it'll just kind of be resting on this corner. And so they end up getting like calluses and blisters like in this corner of my thumb. So I don't know. It's weird, but it's not even. Like my right hand and my left hand are not even. So I think you're going to get by okay, even if they don't seem even, because what really, really matters in the end is what it sounds like. And it sounds to me like even though it feels weird to you, you're still getting a good result in the sound. And that's what's important. I've seen some really weird techniques. People holding things really weirdly. But they get the job done. Like people that stick their pinkies out when they're playing.
Like they're drinking tea.
Yeah. But I've seen it.
I love it.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. Your teacher says he hears a difference occasionally. That's definitely possible. And it'll really show up in your rolls, like your buzz rolls and everything on a snare drum.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're playing with a matched grip, the idea is to have the strength and power with both hands be the same. For double rolls, yeah, where you're like it kind of gallops a little bit, But anyway,
Those are hard.
Yeah, so I'm going to turn this over to Ryan. I'm interested to see what Ryan has to say about this. I know it's a
Hmm.
percussion question, and I'm a percussionist, so I might have
I'm
all
a
kinds of.
percussionist.
I could go and that's right. You are. You
I play
are.
the piano,
Piano is a percussion
which is
instrument.
percussion.
That's right. So yeah, Ryan, take it away.
Yeah. No, this is a really great question. I've got a couple of really fundamental questions for you. Um, I've got two main questions for you. When did you start feeling like this was, well, I've got three questions for you. When did you start feeling like this, when did you start feeling your left hand is like this? Okay. Second question, are you on any medication?
Mm.
And third question, are you, do you feel like it is progressively getting more and more intense? Okay, those are my three questions for you. Do you feel like there's a progression from a past version of yourself to now in terms of this intense feeling of dysphoria or OCD experience? Like there's something going on in your mind? Do you feel like it's getting stronger, more, or rather more out of alignment? Like you feel like as time has gone on, this is getting more and more the case that you feel like your left hand is not a part of you or it's something weird with it. Yeah.
Mm.
Those are my three questions.
Good questions.
Because if you can analyze that a little bit, you can help move yourself in the right direction. You said it's been the case from day one. First time you picked up a stick. Okay, so when you started drumming, okay, I'm fully unmedicated. Great. It's gotten more intense because I pay more attention to it and I care more about technique. Okay. So this wasn't something you've ever felt until you started picking up the sticks? If that's the case, I would say your mind is likely in, as you said, a weird irrational panic reaction. Because it's not something like, I don't think it's dysphoria. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a doctor, but it doesn't sound to me like it is a medical thing that you need to go see a doctor on, and then they'll say, oh yeah, you've got dysphoria, or you've got OCD, or you've got whatever, this, that, or the other thing. It seems to be a point of obsession where your brain has picked it up as a really, like, your brain is looking at it, and the more you look at it, the more you focus on it. The more you focus on it, the more you focus on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you focus on it, the more you focus on it. Right?
That's true.
And so that's what's going on. I feel like that's what's going on with you, based off of your short responses here. You said, I think I have some weird OCD tendencies.
Sure.
So that's pretty normal
Sure.
for people.
Yeah.
I think everyone has some amount of that.
Yeah.
Stuff like focusing too much on the way I walk. Yeah. On the evenness of my steps. Yeah, I do that too. But other than that, it's never been something with my hand specifically. Okay, cool. So I think your brain is over focused on your left hand because it's noticed something, and there's no amount of anything you can do that will ever make your left hand feel like it's your right hand. Okay? There's no amount of like anything you can do. I mean, you can practice a lot and a lot and a lot and a lot, but your left hand's always going to feel, if it's not your dominant hand, your left hand's always going to feel like your left hand. But I will say this. At some point, you'll forget about it. Mm-hmm. This is what happens like when I'm trying to learn something on the piano and it has a complicated left hand. I don't even play my right hand. Okay. I play just the left hand. And I know that's really hard with drums, but I play the left hand until my brain doesn't have to think about the left hand movements. Then I start putting my right hand in. And the reason I do that is because if I try to play them both at once, I'll make progress so slowly. It will just not be worth it. Mm-hmm. But if I focus on getting my left hand to a point where it's muscle memory, I don't even have to think about it. Don't even have to think about what it's doing. I can put all my concentration on my right hand and it feels natural. But if I put all of my intention on my right hand until my right hand doesn't have to think about what it's doing, and put all my focus on my left hand, it's bonkers. Doesn't work. It feels weird. It's wrong. It's just not. I just can't play that well if I do it that way. Does that make sense? If I memorize my right hand and put all my attention on my left hand, I can't play very well. But if I put all of my, if I get my left hand to a point where I don't even have to think about it and put all of my thoughts into my right hand and the melody, I play great. And that's just the way it works for me. I don't know if that works that way for everybody, but that's the way it works for me. So I don't know necessarily if you could do that with snare taps and stuff, because they're obviously, you're rolling them and you're going, it'd be really weird to just play the left hand, but it matters not. My point is, if I put too much concentration on my left hand, I lose myself. I lose where I'm at, and like, it just ends up kind of falling apart. And so that's the way I am. Now, when it comes to other things, like, I've trained myself to be semi-ambidextrous. I grew up semi-ambidextrous, and by semi-ambidextrous, it's not fully ambidextrous. I am a right hand dominant, but I do a lot of things with my left hand that most right dominant people do with their right. If I play most sports with my left hand, even though I'm dominant right. If I open doors left-handed. I step oftentimes with either foot. It's just weird. Okay. I don't even know what dominant foot I am, right? I have no clue. I'm both. I might be ambidextrous footed, but not ambidextrous handed. I have no idea. It doesn't matter. But this is what I want to say. Start eating with your left hand. Okay? If you eat with your left hand instead of your right, you grab with a fork, the knife goes, a lot of people do this. If they're right-handed, they'll put the knife in their right hand, stab the thing with their left, and cut. Okay? Uh-huh. If you eat with a knife and a fork, try to keep your knife in your left hand and your fork in your right, so you don't ever switch. Okay? If you only eat with a fork, then just try to eat with your left hand. This is a recommendation from me to you, because
just be really careful if the knife is sharp.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. This is a recommendation to help your brain recognize that your left hand's going to feel different, but you're going to be good with it. Okay? So, like, if you eat with just your left hand for like a couple of weeks, at some point, your brain is going to get used to how you draw it up to your mouth, how you bite with it, how you stab with it, your angles, right? And over time, you'll see your angles adjust from something really stiff and hard until something more relaxed, and to something that becomes almost like it's your right hand, even though it doesn't feel the same way. You're still operating with the same way, okay? And it will help your brain to recognize, like, it'll get those nerves moving and recognize, feel. Your brain will start to sort of feel like this is a part of my body. This is a part of how it feels when I use my left hand to do the things I normally do with my right hand, and it's working and it operates just fine. It just feels different. And then again, with the knife, I always eat with a fork in my right, knife in my left if I have a knife. And I cut with this. And in fact, I try to, so when I cut, I've got my finger down on the blade, on the top of the blade, not on where the cutting is, but on the on my right hand, and I push down with my finger, right, when I cut. And same thing, if I do my left hand, I try to have the same position. And it's come to a point now that I don't even have to think about it. My hand automatically assumes the position and just starts cutting away. I'm not even thinking about how I'm eating, and I'm using my knife in my left hand for years now, and I do not even think I don't even think twice about it, right? I don't even think once about it. I just pick it up and start using it. That was trained, right? That's something that I had forced myself to learn. And it only took like a week of trying. And all of a sudden it was just kind of like, oh yeah, this is kind of normal. It feels a little bit weird. And then after a month, it was so normal for me to just always use my left hand to cut. Always.
That's, what? You just explained something that makes so much sense. That's why I always feel weird when I eat with you, because you do that.
That's hilarious. That's great. That explains it. I thought you were weird, man. Thought you were weird. That's so funny. Yeah.
Anyway,
that's
sorry.
So funny. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I often, if I don't eat with a knife, I use my right hand with a fork, but I cut with my fork a lot of times. And turn it on its side and rub it against the table until it cuts through whatever.
Well, see,
I mean the plate. Yeah.
because I'm like the opposite. Like I'm right-handed, and if I'm just eating with a fork, I'll eat with my right hand, right? Whatever, right? But then if I have a knife, I'll eat with my left hand because that's the stabbing hand, and like I'll cut and then just eat, whatever with the left hand,
right.
Because then I'm cutting with my dominant hand, and but I don't want to switch hands or put the knife down and switch hands,
Yeah, switch hands over and over and over all the time.
That's silly. So so I just, because I want to eat, the goal is to eat, not to dance with my food. Like whatever.
Not to dance my cutlery. The goal is to eat, not dance with your cutlery.
Right, exactly. So
yeah.
So anyway,
that's funny.
Interesting lore. Yes, we got the lore going.
Quite a bit of lore. Quite a bit of lore today.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so anyways, you could do whatever you want, but those are some things I've picked up. If you find yourself, like, here's another thing, like, if you find you probably don't go to mass or anything, but if you did, I don't know, whatever you do throughout your day, I was thinking, like, if you always kneel with one leg first, switch it up. Try to always kneel with the other. Do these things with your other parts of your body. If you're used to, drinking with your right hand, I highly suggest start drinking with your left. I do it all the time. You see me on stream, mostly using my left hand to drink, but I can easily just as well use my right hand to drink, right? I would highly suggest trying to pick up more activities with your left hand until your brain recognizes, like, oh, that's my left hand can do everything my right hand can do. It just feels weird because it's my left hand and my brain wasn't raised with left-handed tendencies. It's raised with right-hand tendencies. So it's going to feel weird, but it's not something wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay? So I'm just attempting to help you with incorporating your left hand into your body or into your daily activities so that it gets to a point where it feels normal for it to be your left hand. And you're like, okay, that's just how my left hand feels. Awkward. All right? But eventually, like I said before, when I play the piano, I stop thinking about my left hand and I'm just playing the notes, and I don't even think about it. It's just happening, right? And I think that's kind of where you want your drums to be anyways. You want to get to a point where you can do things without even thinking about it. It's all muscle memory, right? And if you can get your left hand to that point where you're not thinking about it, that's when you're going to perform the best. Yeah. Generally speaking, that's when you're going to perform the best. Well, yeah, is when you're not even thinking about it.
You're not thinking about the technique anymore. You're just making music.
Right, exactly. So that's the best I've got for you. And I hope that's helpful. I highly recommend just whatever it is in your life, switching up with your left hand and your right hand. If you've got like things to do that are like essays or whatever, don't try to do your essays in your left hand. But if you want to start writing your own personal journal in your left hand, go for it. See if you can get your writing to look similar to your right hand, your left hand and your right hand. That's something that I did a little bit of, and I kind of got close, but then I stopped, and now it's crappy again. But there's just make it fun. Make it fun. That's the point of this. All right, make it fun. Make it a fun challenge for yourself, and like see how good you can start getting with your left hand in everything. Because then it becomes the point of like, I'm pretty cool for being able to do this, but also you are able to start forgetting about your left hand and just operate normally. I'm talking to you with my left hand right now. I am right hand dominant. This is how I should be talking to you. But my mind has helped because I've spent so much time on my left hand. It's become natural. Even if it feels like my left hand and does not feel like it's strong. It doesn't feel like it's as dexterous, right? The word dexterity, by the way, is a Latin word. It literally means right hand. And when you say ambidextrous, it literally translates to double right-handed. I'm too right-handed. How about that? I'm ambidextrous. I'm double right-handed. Yeah. So anyways, there you go. Again, I've said it multiple times. That's what I got. Joe, what do you have? As someone who's definitely practiced more percussion, yeah,
I've probably practiced more percussion than you.
By a lot.
Probably, I would say. Um, but I like where you're going with this, Ryan. I really like this because that can port into all kinds of areas of your life and not just percussion. But it's the idea of getting your left side comfortable, as
Yeah.
comfortable doing stuff as your right side, right? And becoming more ambidextrous. Like it's crazy. Like
You want your mind to be comfortable with the fact that it has a left hand.
right,
So you have to use it.
right.
Yeah.
Now it's crazy. The mentality used to be. My mom told me stories. My mom would tell me stories about like left-handed. She's left-handed, right?
Mm.
And so like it was okay for her to be left-handed when she was a kid. You know, she just was
Mm.
left-handed, but her mom was naturally left-handed. But when she would go to pick anything up with her left hand, somebody would whack her hand with a ruler or a stick or
Mm.
something. And so she was trained to be right-handed, you know, even though naturally she was left-handed, but because that was the culture, right? Like you're like,
Mm-hmm.
no, you're supposed to be right-handed. If you're left-handed, there's something wrong with you. And
Mm.
so like it got to be this crazy. Oh, Moonlit. See you later, buddy.
Oh, see ya. Yeah, have a good one. Yeah,
Um
enjoy your sleep.
um Kendra says the only time I don't use my left hand is when I'm unable to use my right hand, aka when I do art stuff. Gotcha. All right. And if you master both hands, Hero says if you master both hands when confusing your left and rights
Thank
won't
you.
matter since they have similar skill sets. That's also true. Um, but I don't know. As far as from a percussionist perspective, I mean, we can we can go into all kinds of interesting um we can go into all kinds of interesting stuff, you know, with this deal. So let's see. You talked about marimba playing. Now, are you playing four mallet marimba now? Let's see. So, or are you playing marimba, or are you just dealing with this in snare drum? Because marimba, there are different grip techniques for four mallet marimba. I don't even remember what they were called, but they're different. Okay, it's not really an issue with the marimba. Gotcha.
Hmm.
Steven's grip. Steven's grip, I think, is the one. That's the one where the one between your thumb and first finger, like the end of it points into the palm. Is that the Steven's grip? Can't remember the name.
I'm impressed you remember any of it.
You're impressed I remember. Oh, yeah, so thank you. You too.
I don't remember the terms very well. I literally like a couple days ago, I was like, Del Signo? Del Coda?
Oh, well, that's
I know, and I'm like, this is like
like
normal
music
music terms, right?
terminology, right? Yeah.
Yeah, just in general. I
El
was just like,
signo al coda. Yeah. So go back to the
I was
sign.
like trying to like, how does this work
Yeah.
again?
Yep. The inner goes into your palm and the outer goes between your ring and middle finger. Yeah. Okay. So that's the one that I was most comfortable with as well. There's another one that was just weird that my does not cross. Correct. Yeah. The one that my one of my college professors he used the other one and that's what he was comfortable with and it was Burton or traditional. Yeah. He used that and it was just weird when I'd watch him play. Now he could play. He played better than me, right? I mean, he was doctor of percussion, right?
Wow.
He was a timpanist for I think some symphony out west. Um, which I mean, the timpanist in an orchestra that's like your number one guy. Um,
Hmm.
trying to play Burton on vibes, dude. Vibes are finicky anyway. You got these bars that just ring forever. You know,
Mm.
like they just ring and ring, and then you have this pedal that you gotta like put up there, or you can mallet mute them. You know, you can mute the mallet mute. That's it, like a dog, a mallet mute. Yeah,
Wow.
learning to mute single bars. So anyway, yes. There's so much in the world of percussion. Everybody here is like, that's not a percussionist. Is like, what are they even talking about? There's this whole different language. Yeah, like rudiments. Like we have these great rudiments called egg beaters and patty fla flas and all that.
Patty fla fla. That's
Patty
great.
fla fla. Yeah. Patty fla fla, which is like you wouldn't even it's not played like you think. Para diddle diddle. Yeah. Yep, the para diddle diddle. Paradiddle diddle, double paradiddle. Para diddle diddle. Diddle. You'd be diddling on people.
Don't diddle on me.
Yep. Yeah, pedals are one thing. Not lifting the stick is totally different. Yeah, there's all kinds of crazy coordination. I'm going Diddy. Oh man. I'm learning how to play double bass pedal, on my on drum kit, because that's something I never ever did until I bought a double bass pedal in the last year. Right? The first time I ever owned one. Took me this long to get a double kick pedal. And so it's like, so you have to get right back down to basics. And maybe that's what you need to do here. And maybe that's what your instructor's trying to teach you, is that as you're playing, how do you get good at anything? Time and technique, right? Time and effective technique. And pay attention. Please play it on stream. Play what? Double kick pedal? Well, I had at one point in time I was going to stream drumming, and then we started a cabinet business.
That's right. That's true. That's true.
There's a book. Okay, if you want to get good at drum set playing, this goes for anybody who wants to get good at drum set playing. There's a book called 4-Way Coordination. It's old, but it's really, really good. Oh my gosh. 4-Way Coordination. It's a drum technique. It's just a whole bunch of exercises to help you completely separate, your right and left hand, your right and left foot. You have complete independence of each limb.
That's incredible.
Right? And it's all these exercises to just train that. And you start slow and you just speed them up. And they're like, okay, this is the ideal tempo you want to be at for these, so just start slow and work your way up, Yeah. But those are things you get that with time, and it's just taking the time to do it. So as you pay attention, you might also need to be paying attention to how you're standing, how your back is. Like, all of these things play a part. This I didn't learn until I got involved with Taekwondo, how important your feet are to any of these things. Like where my feet are placed, that will depend on whether my right punch or my left punch is stronger. Like where my feet are.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I'm right-handed, if my right foot is forward, my left hand is going to punch harder than my right, because I'll have more body rotation. And so these things could come into play with drumming as well. So as you're practicing these things, you're paying attention. Okay, wait, what? Now the chat's going crazy. Okay, time to pull a Joe and immediately buy the book.
Yes, I thought that was great. I thought that was quite funny. It was well played.
It's not expensive. I think it was only like $15 or something like that. You want to try and find the exact centimeter height I need a snare drum to be. Insanely finicky. Yeah, I get you. It's weird. And I've changed as far as drum height goes. What, Ryan?
Yeah. Oh, I was just saying, yeah, I mean, even like when you're playing any instrument, if you're just learning it, I mean, even after a couple of years of learning it, if it's slightly off center from what you're used to, everything's messed up. Like Like imagine like you're sitting at the piano and the piano's like 4 centimeters higher, and you're pushing the keys easier or sooner than you're used to, and so on and so forth. Or it's like you're shifted to the right a little bit on your chair, and you're like, wait, how'd I hit 2 notes at once? What happened? It's when you first like even for the first many years, it's really very finicky.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's normal. That's very normal, Kishan.
Yep.
It's good.
And that's okay. That's okay. These are all things that you're going to learn as you go. And it could change. The professional bench is raised and lower by the millimeter. Wow.
Wow. Dang.
Yeah. Yeah. You get to that level of stuff and you're paying a lot of money. You know, it's just the way it is. You know, and that was one of the things I remember talking with Steve at BSS. You know, we were talking about, you know, all these different things. And it's like, man, you know, since music is like our business, it doesn't do us any good to like shop cheap on gear.
It
doesn't, unless, I mean, sometimes I've gotten some real gems of drums that were like toys for $100, you know. But most of the time, as a professional, you know, if I'm going to buy a drum, it's going to be expensive, right? Because I'm going to need it to sound good. I'm going to need it to do its job. Steinway benches, yes, very, very pricey. Yep. Hey, it's incredibly finicky. Musicians are very finicky people and very detailed. And kind of neurotic. Detailed. And so it's good. Like I understand musicians because I am one. And you know, it's one of the reasons Ryan and I got to be, you know, good friends so quickly is because we spoke the same language, right? As far as, you know, being musicians and, you know, like it was great.
Yeah, we tend to be a very technical bunch. Very interested in very little things.
Yep. Yep. Hey, see you later, Kendra. It's great seeing you. Oh, you said, "Gosh bless you all." God bless you.
God bless you too.
Yeah,
Thanks,
and I hope you can feel better.
Yeah, me too.
Sleep well.
Everybody needs to feel better.
Yep. You're actually not that way by nature. Did this degree to become this way. Gotcha.
Yeah, fair enough. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I was in school, I remember everyone was always saying, "You want to be good at math? Go into music." Like, if you want to be a mathematician, is that what you want to be?
It's very mathematical. It's very linear.
Everybody, and they did many tests, and they found that anyone who was involved in band at high school was always like generally a grade above everybody else in math, except for people who are like a grade above the average. I mean, a grade above the average or whatever in math, because somehow it just, the technicalities really train you into math somehow.
Well, that's percussionist though. We only count to 6. I don't count to 6. I only count to 4. If I see 6, I subdivide it into 3 and 3.
3 and 3. That's right.
Dancers count to 8. Like they must be smarter.
Yeah, dancers. That's probably true. Dancers probably have better math.
Most of the ones I've seen have better attitudes. Actually, not.
Oh no.
Anyway, sorry.
I don't think it's a counting thing. Nor do I think about it's like counting measures or anything. I think it has something to do with the part of your brain that's being activated in music is similar or like in parallel to the part of your brain that's activated when you're doing math.
Okay.
Because they're both very detail oriented in specific ways.
Yep.
I think it's something like that.
Well, and what are you doing in music? There's time involved. You're dividing time.
Keeping tempo, yes.
You know? And that's very mathematical.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's real. The only times we count higher than 6 is when we play an orchestra and count enough rests. It looks like a date in the Civil War. It's so true. It's like you get your sheet, you know, you open your book, you know, you get your sheet music for the orchestra piece that you're in, and you're a percussionist, and you just see like 45 bar rest,
Yeah,
It's just like this one thing with a 45. I'm supposed to count with the I'm
that's
supposed to
so
watch the
hard.
conductor, and I'm supposed to keep count of like 45 measures, and then I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna hit the triangle once, and then that's it.
It's so hard because I remember, you'd be in practice and they would just start at like a measure, but you'd have like as a percussionist with 45 rests right from the start. They're
Yeah.
like, all right, or anywhere. If they start anywhere in there, you got to do some like hard math. Like, okay, wait, they started at measure 50. They started at measure 15. I'm on. Okay, hold on. 45 rests, so I got to minus 15 from that. That means we're on measure 30, which also mean wait, how many measures has it been since I've been calculating? I was not paying attention, and then you're like, oh, well, I am not going to hit that. That is not in, I am not going to hit it when it comes.
Uh-huh.
You got to memorize what it sounds like and when your part comes in rather than counting. That's what I figured.
Yeah. Yeah, it,
Yeah.
it helps to know the song and to know what it's supposed to sound like.
Yeah. Which is hard when it's in practice, but yeah.
Yeah, it is tough. I can remember the first time ever seeing when I was in the youth honors orchestra my senior year in high school. I saw for the first time 128th notes.
Okay. It's pretty quick.
So like a 16th note has 2 lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
32nd note is 3. 64th is 4.
128th. Oh, wait, yeah,
128th
then
is
it goes
5.
Wow. Okay, I don't know if I've ever seen 128th note, other than
5
like ones that
lines
I've written
across.
myself.
It was basically grace notes, like
Mm-hmm.
2 grace
Yeah.
notes and a thing, but they wrote it as 128th notes, and I was like, "Oh, really?" it
Mm-hmm.
was
It's funny.
Dvorak. I can't remember Dvorak. Some symphony of his, the first movement of a Dvorak symphony. It was like I'm sitting there, I'm like trying to read this, and I'm like, I'm just gonna have to listen to this song and hear how
Mm-hmm.
it's supposed to go in order to understand. Um, but yeah. So anyway, Kishan, this may be an OCD thing for you. Could be a little bit. That's okay. We're all a little bit OCD in all kinds of different ways. We all tend to focus in on things, especially I don't know if you have ADHD or not, but I think we all have ADHD on some kind of a continuum. I think that's the same with autism. We're
Yeah.
all kind of on a spectrum of all of these
Okay.
things at some point. And so like that's kind of one of those things. But and it's just in some cases we're more or less in it, right? So but as you I think what Ryan had to say was very, very important. And I think that can help a lot. Go in areas that aren't percussion. Now, definitely take the time while you're playing percussion to monitor what your left hand is doing, how it's gripping the stick. Is it the same as your right? Are you matched? And then, maybe just do a lot of things with just your left hand for a while. Just grab a practice pad, watch a movie, and have a stick in your left hand and just do quarter notes or whatever, or do different rhythms or whatever. I would do that so much when I was trying to learn traditional grip, to be, because I had this goal. I wanted to be in drum and bugle corps, and I wanted to be a snare drummer in drum and bugle corps. And we all growing up through school, we had trained matched grip, which is the two. You hold the 2 sticks the same. But when you do snare drum and drum and bugle corps, it's traditional grip, and so your left hand does something different. It's gonna look like I'm flipping off
Mm-hmm.
the camera, but it's like, it's different, and so like you're playing differently. I had to learn this. I didn't come up with this goal until it was my senior year in high school, and I decided I wanted to learn this, and so it was like crunch time. I got to learn how to do this, and so I learned some techniques. I learned a few things, and then this was, man. And then I would just like watch a movie, and I would sit there with a practice pad and a stick in my left hand, and I would just play with traditional grip, just my left hand, not even thinking about it. every once in a while I'd look and I'd see if is my technique doing okay or whatever, but I'd just watch the movie. And I'd do that with my left hand. And you can do the same thing, and that might make you feel more comfortable. It'll get you not thinking about it. And once you can like monitor it enough to where you know, okay, this is the way it is. I know it feels weird right now. It doesn't feel right to do this properly. Because that's how it always will be, you know, when you're doing, if you've done something improperly for a long time, you got back just in time to be flipped off by Joe. Welcome back, Zay. Anyway, it's going to feel weird. And, but once you can look and be like, okay, that's how it normally is supposed to be. And then just play on a practice pad. And just do it while you watch a movie.
I like that. That's very smart.
And then it'll just become kind of like second nature. And then do other things with your left hand too, like Ryan was talking about. The more you can kind of even yourself out, it's great. You will have more options in all of your life that way. Like then you can cut your food with your left hand, like Ryan does.
There you go.
You know, you could not feel weird picking up a coffee mug with your left hand. That would feel weird.
I have
to me.
So I drink normally with my left hand when I'm at my office desk because my office has a burner.
Yeah.
Like to keep coffee hot, and it only fits on my left side. I could try to figure out how to get it on my right side, but there's a lot of other stuff over there. So just having the option of putting that anywhere I want, right? But having the option of doing it where it's most convenient and then using my left hand like it's nothing, that's way better than having to try to get everything I own on my right side of my desk that I'm going to use and have no room like over there among the junk, right? So just as an example, I guess, of what Joe's saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know what else I have. I would say do that. Listen to your instructor. And of course, your instructor's there to help you. But I've also learned as I've worked with different instructors, some different instructors value different things. Right? In my opinion now, as you know, as I've played for a long time and I've done a lot of different things and I've recorded a lot, the techniques are all there and they're great. But the sound is the king. What's the sound that's coming out of your instrument? That's king. Because, well, we've all, you know, like how do they teach brass players to play like a trumpet player? They teach them like, okay, you know, you press your lips together and you keep your cheeks in and you have this proper embouchure and you blow, you make fart noises with your lips. And then along comes like Louis Armstrong and his cheeks are huge.
Yeah. I know.
Professional guy, right? It's like he's totally not doing it right. Every band director would be so upset. But he's a professional and he sounds great. Right? Brass players have it easy.
I remember
Their teachers can't see their bad technique. They can hear it though. If they're worth their salt, they can hear it. And they'd be able to be like, yeah, so there's something going on with your throat. Sounds like you're squeezing that a little too hard, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, anyway, so sound is the king. And like Ryan said, if when you aren't thinking about your technique, when you're just playing, that's generally when the sound is going to be the best. Because then you're not in your own head and not overthinking.
You're listening rather than trying to focus on getting everything right. You know you're getting everything right because you're hearing it and you're like, if you mess up, well, you know it. But you're not thinking about it, right? Not thinking about the technique, just able to perform it. Yeah, that's when it's the best.
Yep. Yes, mi Anglios. High notes on trumpet are difficult. Yep.
I don't know how they do it. It's so wild. It's amazing.
If you hear oral cavity one more time, you're gonna lose. Oh, I just said it. I'm sorry.
Whoops.
Don't lose it, man. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Joe, careful.
Yes.
You're imagining very soon there's going to be someone busting down your wall.
So,
And it won't be the Kool-Aid man.
Soleil says techniques are there to help you get a good sound. Sometimes you can invent a contrary technique to create a good sound. That's absolutely true. And I've seen all kinds of different ways that people have then also created a really, really good sound. And it's weird because, the instructors will be like, that's not right. That's, but whatever. But it doesn't matter because they play better than you. Right? Yeah, that's how the Stevens grip was made. Right. So, and you look at guitar playing, like now we have these crazy guitar players that like are really percussive and doing all these tapping techniques on their guitar fretboard the whole time. That wasn't around up until like, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or something like that. 15 years ago. It was very rare if it was. You didn't see it. But now it's a lot more common. And yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, you got to have a master class with the guy who invented the Stevens grip? Really? Dude, that's crazy if you did. Because that's so common now. Lee Howard Stevens, owner of Mallet Tech. Interesting. All right.
Wow.
That's cool.
Wow.
That's cool.
That's very cool.
Well, because now it's the best way to play, in my opinion. The Burton or traditional marimba grip is insanely dumb, in my personal opinion. Like, for marimba, yeah. Yeah. Stevens grip is the way to go. But everybody's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Great for a small
That's all right,
interval,
though.
but marimba. Yeah, so it might be better for like a xylophone, but how often do you play 4-mallet xylophone? Yeah, no kidding. On a 5-octave marimba, your low bars are like 8 inches wide. It's a huge target. But then you got your top ones.
Gotta have a lot of reach.
Yeah. Okay, legendary jazz vibe player. He had a good jazz vibe, man.
Well, it comes from Mexico. Interesting. Huh.
Percussion history, man. I tell you what.
Yeah.
I remember learning all this stuff and forgetting all this stuff, and I'm getting to remember all this stuff. This is great. Yeah. So anyway, Kishan, you're multicultural maxing, sure.
Wow.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But thanks for the topic, man. I appreciate a percussion topic, especially after we talk about some lovey-dovey topic. This is great to talk about percussion.
Nice. It wasn't too lovey-dovey.
Nah, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was important. It's not just, and it wasn't all romantic. It was,
yeah.
Sasuga Joe? What's Sasuga Joe?
Sasuga.
Or is
that Japanese?
What's it mean?
It's Japanese. Not surprisingly. Or as expected.
As expected. Gotcha.
Or impressive, apparently.
Joe forgot more percussion information than many people will ever know. That's true. Whether it's a good thing or not is up for debate. That's true. But man, I was into it. I got good at it. Oh, Kishan, thank you. I appreciate you, buddy. But yeah, hopefully that's helpful. And yeah, we had its deep dive. It's interesting. Even though like I have all this percussion knowledge, I feel like Ryan's input on this topic is going to be more helpful to you than mine.
I don't know. I say
Because
give it a try and
you
see what
took it
happens. Yeah.
from a real life perspective. That makes so much sense, because then as you start getting more and more comfortable with your left hand, doing things with your left hand, then it's just going to translate into that better feeling of the technique.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I told you what your teacher would say, and Ryan's was super interesting. Exactly, right?
That's right.
Wait, what? Joe is literally awesome sauce. This is why I will only ever request Joe to play drums. Zay, you're lying. Because you requested me to play something other than drums recently.
No, that wasn't a request. It was a demand.
Oh, that's...
Yeah, I don't know.
My head looks like a drum. My kids would play it like a drum when they'd be on my shoulders. When I was carrying around on my shoulders as kids, that's what they would do. They especially enjoyed bongoing on my head when it was sunburnt. That was their favorite time to do it. That hurt, man.
That's
I
mean.
tell you. Oh, yeah.
That's mean.
My head looks like a djembe drum. Great.
That's. I don't know if there's a higher compliment than that. Djembe Cho.
Zay.
Oh man.
Yeah, the acoustic is basically a drum. You're right. You're right. Zay asked me to play acoustic guitar on a song.
Oh yeah. That is the same thing.
It is basically a drum. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So yeah. So you did good. And Zay, I think you're awesome sauce. You're awesome.
Everyone, yeah.
Awesome.
You guys are awesome.
Awesomer saucer than me.
Awesome.
Yes. You guys, man, so great. I appreciate you guys being here, man. Kishan, thanks for the topic. It was awesome. I hope we had some helpful stuff for you. Saleh says acoustic guitars are loud. They certainly can be.
Mm-hmm. Certainly can be.
Yep, that's for sure. You're sauceum moss.
So true. You are sauceum
You
moss,
are
man.
sauceum moss, man. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys for being here so much. We'll see you next week on Don't Worry Wednesday when we do this again. And so
That's right.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Again, we're not professionals. We're not professional therapists, counselors, psychologists, or nothing like that. If you have a topic, which we could use your topics, go to don'tworrywednesday.com.
We have one topic left.
We have one topic left. And
yeah.
There it is.
Thank you, Saleh.
Saleh, you are the man. It's right there. Just click the link, submit a topic, hit the submit a topic button. Whoa, what the heck just happened? Weird.
I don't know.
For some reason, Windows search just popped up on my screen. I was like, what is going on? Check out our website. Check out our website. Check out our website.
Because you mentioned it. Because you mentioned it earlier. That's why.
Oh, I see.
You were talking about Windows, and now it's like I'll fight back. Just give me a couple.
Yeah,
just give me like an hour.
That's what it was doing. Yeah, I'm sure.
Come around.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for being here. We love you. That's why we do this show. We love being with you. We love spending time with you, and we love talking about what's going on with you guys. So thank you so much, and we will see you. Thank you, Saleh. You're the best.
You're great.
All right.
I love it.
Yes, we love you. We will see you next time on Don't Worry Wednesday. Until then, take really good care of yourselves and those around you, and we'll see you next time. We love you.
Bye, guys. Peace.
Bye-bye.